so many of you, we usually have a mic, but I don't think we're going to need one. We'd rather get everybody be able to hear you guys. So, this one's for you. For both of you. You sure? Yeah. Okay. We're good at this. All right. Okay. Well, everybody shifts. See if you and Steph can No, it's all right. We'll all share this one. You guys have it.
I'm Kathleen Coleman. I'm Wesley Eure. Yes, I obviously had a really interesting life after Land of the Lost. The world came by. I'm now living as a woman, and
I got mixed around.
and there's your story.
Yeah.
Hello. Are we too loud at this level?
Sound great.
Okay, perfect.
So
First I was afraid.
that's our Hardly Heroes.
I was petrified.
I kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
Then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong.
And I
learned how to get along, and now you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. You should have changed the stupid locks. I should have made you lose your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second, you'd be back to bother me. Boy, now go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now. Anyway.
That was originally.
Well, that's the first time we ever heard something like that.
I don't know. I think she had too many McDonald's hamburgers this morning.
Could be. Or it could be just me.
Well, we're the Hardly Heroes podcast. I'm Buddy. This is
Skiller.
Yeah. So we do a podcast all about TVs, movies, everything geek related, and we wanted to just thank you guys for coming to the con. I know not just me, but everybody else here is so excited to have you guys here. I had a question. When was the last time you guys were all together?
We were together in San Jose.
Oh, nice. So not that long ago.
Chaka, learn hold. Learn hold.
Okay.
Good, okay. Chaka, don't bite. Don't eat it. No.
I warned you. Ganza Bisasa.
Ganza Bisasa.
You know, he's done very well over 45 years.
Things all changed after the flea dip and the hair removal. And I feel like a different person.
Oh, man.
Well, we were when did we were together at was it Octon Con? Was the last time?
No.
San Jose. We were at San Jose for.
Do you know the way to San Jose?
Yeah, it's you go the 99, and I think you go.
Our whole panel is going to be musical related today, so
Get ready. Guys, I think listen, first of all, thank you guys for coming. I mean, it means the world to us. You know, it's Land of the Lost 45th anniversary. Last weekend, 45 years ago, Land of the Lost first aired. That means you're all very old. But I mean, it's so are we. But see, they started young. Phil started. How old were you when you started?
I was 10 or 11 years old, right around there. Yes.
Very good. One word answer. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Phil was the youngest black belt in karate.
Speaking of singing like a musical for this whole panel, prior to Land of the Lost, Phil and I had done a commercial together. And on my second call back for Land of the Lost, I got the job of Land of the Lost when I was 12. Phil and I had done the commercial about 2 years prior to that, so I would have been about 10 and Phil would have been about 9. Yeah. So anyway, on the second call back for Land of the Lost, I walk in the door and he's in there. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm auditioning for this show called Land of the Lost. I go, so am I. I go, what are you up for? And he tells me he's up for this monkey role. And I said I was playing some girl named Holly. Anyway, so we knew each other prior to Land of the Lost. And how we knew each other was we did this Cheez-Its commercial. And sticking to this theme song thing, This is how the Cheez-Its commercial
Now,
went.
you wait, picture it, they're in the back seat of a thing. Remember the Volkswagen things?
Yellow.
The square, yellow thing, with their mom and dad in front.
Okay. I like munching.
I like crunching.
We like eating Cheez-Its. Great cheese taste in every bite.
We like eating Cheez-Its.
So I like munching.
I like crunching.
We like eating Cheez-Its.
Great cheese taste in every bite.
I love the wild taste of cheese.
Hey, more Cheez-Its, please.
They're great crunching crackers.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, we've hijacked it.
This has been amazing. I'm crying over here. I'm laughing so hard. I love it that you guys are breaking out to song because we do that a lot on our show. So it feels refreshing to see that other people.
There's always a song in your mind in life.
right?
Yeah.
Does everybody know the theme song to Land of the Lost? Now, you know, I sang the theme in Land of the Lost and the closing song. You ready?
Wait, well, we do that one all the time. How about
Let's do
surprise
both.
in the last section?
Yeah, let's get it.
You guys, will you sing along if we do theme song to Land of the Lost?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
Okay, you because you're the one. He's the one who really sang it on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you
So
go.
cool.
Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft, plunging down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost, to the land of the lost. Roar. Okay, and the closer. Ready? You guys did very well. Yeah. Okay,
He likes that because asleep on the job, he was supposed to do the roar.
you're supposed to do the dance moves.
Do you just have one thing you'd like to say?
Wow.
Are you done?
Really?
Are you sure you're done?
That is so interesting. I would have sued if I were.
It's a little hot in here.
Okay. That's what the real sleaze snacks used to say.
Okay, ready for the closer song, right? When I look all around, I can't believe the things I found. Now I need to find my way. I'm lost, find me living in the land of the lost, living in the land of the lost. And there's one more.
Oh, yes, there is.
Okay, if I can remember this, in the third season, of course, we lost our dad. It's our jumping the shark moment, right?
Yeah.
And Uncle Jack came in, Ron Harper from Planet of the Apes, and I had to go back in and redo the theme song because it didn't. The first one didn't fit. So it was. I have to remember. Let me remember this. So, Will and Holly Marshall, as the earth beneath them trembled, lost their father through the door of time. Uncle Jack was searching and found the kids at last, looking for a way to escape from the land of the lost.
Daddy, come back!
Daddy, do something!
Daddy! Get the ice water!
So Phil, what I think is really interesting is how Phil got the job as Chaka. And in fact, you can actually watch how he got the job on YouTube.
I got the job on Land of Lost by auditioning. But the producers had seen me on The Tonight Show because I was the youngest black belt in U.S. history at age 9. And thank you. And Chuck Norris was my teacher, and so Chuck and I went on The Tonight Show, and I did some karate stuff with Johnny Carson. I flipped him a couple times. And it was great. It was a great show. And after the show, I got a call from an agent who wanted to represent me, and I said okay. And the first thing she sent me out on was this call for a monkey character on the show Land of the Lost. And I was like, sure, you know, I was a fan of the Croft shows already as a kid, so I was like, I jumped at it. I was like so excited. And I went in front of a panel of like 7 or 8, you know, executives. and I did some karate for them, and I did some monkey moves for them, and I guess they liked it because I got the part. And they called me like literally the same day when I had got home. They're like, we want to hire Phillip, and I was like, I was really excited.
If you go on YouTube and type in Johnny Carson, Phil Paley, and Chuck Norris, it's there. It's hysterical because you have to understand, Phil is this tall and Johnny is this tall, and he flips Johnny, and it's just fabulous.
It's so cool.
If you've seen it, yeah. But you guys actually had to go watch a movie and go to the zoo and.
Oh, part of our training for being a Pakuni in the show is Joe Jamalva and Sharon Baird and myself were given homework, and so they sent us to the LA Zoo to observe the chimpanzees, which we did. It was a lot of fun. The chimpanzees were throwing poo at each other, and so we carried that into our characterization. And then we also were tasked with going to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's film, to kind of emulate the primates in that scene, the opening scene where they're with the monolith, and it was kind of like that's what they were trying to capture, the same essence with the pylons and us. And I think there's an episode where we're dancing around the pylon in the same way. So, so there's a little bit of Pakuni history.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's. Yeah, I want to know you. But so Kathy's mom. Tell us about how Holly's look on Land of the Lost came into pass.
Well, anyway, my mom actually dressed me very similar for my interviews, and the golden rule back then was if you went on an audition, wear the exact same outfit again on the callback, because if they like what they saw, don't change their mind midway. So for those 7 callbacks that I went on, I wore the exact same outfit, and either it just melted into their brains or whatever. But I went in a pretty much checkered shirt and blue jeans and my hair in braids, and so pretty much my mom was responsible for the design of my attire on Land of the Lost. But there's one other quick story, if I may. The week before I auditioned for Land of the Lost, I went on this audition for a show called Run, Joe, Run, which eventually aired either right before or right after Land of the Lost on the Saturday morning lineup. Anyway, I auditioned for it, and I think I went up against 100 or so girls for this audition, and it got down for the second callback to 2 girls, which was myself and Christy McNichol. Well, she wound up getting that job, and I was really bummed, but it shot on the following Wednesday. The audition for Land of the Lost, the first one, was on that following Wednesday, so had I got that one episode of Run, Joe, Run, I'd have never been able to do Land of the Lost. And I say that story because I would have never have met the thousands of people that are like you all here today that have told me some of the most incredible, wonderful stories, and we've laughed and shared some really unique, wonderful moments together. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for listening to me. Babble, babble.
I know. I listen to her all the time. Babble, babble.
All day.
Oh God, she doesn't stop.
Holly.
We have been. We're kind of a unique cast, I think, because a lot of shows they don't like each other, and we like each other. We travel together. Kathy and I just did the Star Trek convention, which we've done for 6 years, because our show was written by the Star Trek writers. David Gerrold, who wrote Trouble with Tribble, Walter Koenig played Chekhov, created Enoch, the Talking Sleestak, DC Fontana, Larry Niven, Mike Westmore who did the Star Trek designs for costume and makeup, did ours. He did Phil's Chaka, the whole face, the Sleestak, and things like that. But we have had some incredible experiences with fans, and not just, there's something about, when you're a kid sitting with a bowl of cereal, have you waited all week to see a show because there's no way to watch it other than when it airs? It's the most vulnerable time. And somehow it has touched people's lives in a way that has been very unexpected for all of us. In fact, there's some stories, Kathy, you know some that, some amazing stories. Well, one, we had this, I'll tell one quick, but there was a woman from Compton, which is one of the roughest areas in Los Angeles, African-American lady. And she came and she was sobbing. She was just crying. I go, "Are you okay?" She said, "I got to tell you something." She said, "When I was a little girl in Compton, it was too dangerous to play in the neighborhood. So on Saturdays, we'd watch Land of the Lost. And for the rest of the weekend, we would, in the house, because we weren't allowed to go outside, we would turn it into a jungle and the cave. And so for my entire childhood, for those years, she said, you guys were my childhood, my Saturday play." And she really was sobbing, and it was amazing. And you have a story too.
Normally, I share with the audience this one story about this blind couple that came up, and they met each other in like a school for the blind as young kids, and it was right after they had both lost their eyesight. So they remembered watching Land of the Lost, and then they got to meet me as an adult, and they were touching me to see what I felt like their eyes could see and visualize. It was really, and they were feeling my sleestack head and everything. It was really cool. But there was another woman who rolled up to the table in a wheelchair, and she said, "You know, I've been in pain for almost as long as I can remember." And she said, "This pain is 24/7. And she said, "But there was a half an hour every weekend when I was a child that I was not in pain, and that was during your show." She said, "I could escape my pain and go to the Land of the Lost." And I thought, wow, that is amazing. And so we hear stories like that all the time, and they're lovely and they're heartwarming and really, really cool. Do we need you to start asking some questions?
I am blown away. I'm actually really excited to
Can I ask you a question? Excuse me, are you okay? Did that start, did what she tell you just touch something in you?
Who, me?
Yeah. Didn't it? Because I just saw your expression, I thought maybe.
do that all the time at these things.
Do you? Okay, I just thought it might have brought the story you wanted to share with us.
Oh.
But, okay, I just saw this anyway. Yeah.
It's something that I think is really cool that you're talking about, how you said that, it would come on a show back then, that was the only time you used to watch it, that it's different than nowadays with shows where you can pause them, play them whenever you want.
Right.
When I was a kid, Saturday morning was just like, man, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I gotta, so you were so invested, where I feel like now times have changed, and you kind of go in, you were part of the whole family was watching on one TV, and they were all watching one show, which is really cool. Because my dad talks about that, watching Land of the Lost, and he also was big on Old Yeller and all
Right.
just these older shows, and he's like, those mean the most to me because it was different back then. So it's really cool to hear all of the different stories from everybody.
When there were 3 channels and not just, and Mr. Wilson, Dennis, get off my lawn. But, we all used to have, as a society, we used to have a common language. We had 3 channels, everybody watched the same shows. We had the top 40, everybody listened to the same music. Now you can watch, if you just like anime, you can just watch anime. If you like animation, you just watch animation. If you like whatever, reality, if you want to watch the judge shows, which I do, you can watch the judge show. So we don't have, you go to school the next week, and you don't have the common language, things that you've done that were similar, or your family sat together and watched, World of Disney, and things like that. So we've lost that. So everybody is in their own little pod. I don't think the communications is as interesting and as cohesive as it used to be.
No, definitely. It's just really so interesting to hear you guys talk about that, because I can imagine the stories.
We actually do, and this is another really cool moment at our table that we experience, is when a family will come to the table and their little ones that can barely see over the table will point to pictures and say, Chaka, will Sleestack, and that bond that the parents are taking the time to pull their children back in, sit with them, actually watch a program with them is happening, and it happens and it involves us in some weird way. But I just think that parents need to really pull their kids back in, and have those moments.
And it makes it more fun, like you're saying, that, it was something where your whole family would watch, not just something that, you're super into, and it makes it more fun that it's family friendly. Have you ever had the moment, I've heard about this, where the younger generation would watch your guys' show and not realize, because depending on the age, that they haven't realized that you've grown up? You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be, like, really funny.
But
So, like,
I haven't had that happen.
no,
Chuck, use English words. English.
Chuck, I never had that happen.
I've heard
Yeah.
some child actors that were in shows.
Oh my good. Well, we have it today. People will walk in there. Oh yeah, my favorite show. I go, I'm Will. They go, what? And I go, then that's Kathy. Go, yeah, we recognize her. But
I have had people say to me,
Sorry. I've had people say to me, well, guys, you're not, you don't look like you did in these photos. I was like, come on, I was 12. I'm 165, Come on.
And of course, I was in costume.
True.
So I had the gift of, or the blessing of anonymity.
Yeah.
So people don't really know who I am on the street as anyone on a TV show or anything until I come to the show. And then people still don't know. They're like, you play Chaka? Are you sure?
what they say about Phil is, oh my God, he's so hot.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you get this one image of people because you're in their living room and you rewatch. So sometimes I can imagine them seeing you like, oh, you've actually grown up. You're like, yeah, we all age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up while I was on the show.
Yeah.
And I watched the show when I was a kid. Like me and my brother and sister would, on Saturday morning, we would watch the show that I was on, because it was really entertaining.
Yeah. Did you have to go to school on set?
we both did.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 3 hours a day.
Nice.
And then it wasn't always 3 hours straight in a row. We would just get in chunks of whenever we would have a free moment, the teacher would grab us. She'd say, are they working? Are they working? Do you need them? And she'd snatch us and take us to the bungalow and we'd go do and even though it was 3 hours, that was 3 hours of concentrated learning. That wasn't a classroom of 30, It was just the two of us and our teacher, and sometimes just one-on-one, If he was busy doing a scene or I was busy in a scene, he would go to school or I'd go to school. And then sometimes we'd be in there at the same time.
Nice.
But yeah.
That's cool.
And we had great teachers. We mostly had the same one for the 3 years, but every once in a while we'd get a substitute in. But they were all very nice. We liked them very much.
That must have been kind of fun, but kind of hard at the same time. No slacking off. They were like,
Yeah, but because it was one-on-one, she knew that there was times when we needed comic relief, and there was times when we needed to get down to business.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Going back to public school was the real doozy.
Oh yeah, you were like, hold on, wait, what is this? Yeah.
They weren't nice to you in public school.
No, they were not. My mother, this is sort of long-winded, I'll shorten it. She promised me if I ever got a television series, because then I would be able to afford to have a pony, that she would buy me a pony. The day I signed the contracts for Land of the Lost, we went that day, and she bought me a pony. And so,
Every girl's dream.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway, because of that, we could not live in the city limits. We needed to live where the zoning was for horses. So, now I'm forgetting what the original.
So they moved to Simi Valley. She got there. They thought she was a freak, and they treated her really, really badly. Yeah, just cut to the chase. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God, this could have gone on for 3 hours. I'm telling you, the horses, what he ate, the color of Comanche, I would have been.
I like that he puts his hand up
This
like you're
is
not
the
looking.
kind of stuff
He used to do on the set all the time, if you notice. He would push me into the bushes and then turn around for his close-up.
I did. We would run. I would make sure we'd be running from a dinosaur, and Kathy would be running like this, and I would always make sure I got the final. Oh, look, there's a dinosaur. If you watch the show, you will now notice. Does anybody have a question out there that they'd like to ask? Okay.
please.
So, do you have a count of how many times a stick saved your life in the show?
How many times is like the fly swatter?
Put it in the, you put it in the...
Somebody on Facebook, I think 2 days ago, because I have a great Facebook following, which is just wonderful, as you know, and They said, you know, that fly swatter is awfully short. You know, if you tried to get into a dinosaur's mouth, he would have killed you by then.
I would have eaten Holly. Because Holly was out in front, you know, like with Dad behind her, pushing the fly swatter in, and she was like right in the front, the thing would have just been like, ah.
Anybody else have a question? Yes, please.
What do you guys think of the remake movie?
What do we think of the remake movie? Look, Will Ferrell could not have been nicer. He was a huge fan of the show. And who's guy played Will?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Oh my God! I went on the set at Universal, and they had just filmed one of the big scenes, and he came running over there, and I was with Marty Croft, and I pretended to light a torch and pass the torch to him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Will Ferrell came running over the day before. He had sung the theme song to Land of the Lost. And if you watch the movie, what he's singing with his guitar, or banjo, Marshall, Will, and Holly singing it, and a bug lands on him and is sucking the blood out of him. And the is Will and Holly and Will going looking at the bug, right? And so he would come out, Wesley, I sang the theme song yesterday. I sang the theme song. And by the way, that's actually one of the funniest moments in the movie.
Yeah.
And you thought I was long-winded.
Kathy and I share a hotel room when we do the Vegas show. We have more fun. You know, I mean, we really are brother and sister, so.
Pillow fight, jumping back and forth on the beds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've all three shared a room before, and that's a real party. He brings his own bonfires.
Scone soup for everyone.
So back then, when you were doing the makeup for the show, how rough was it? Like, you know, getting into costume and all that type of stuff, or was it fun for you?
I wouldn't say it was rough. I mean, you're sitting in a chair and someone's putting makeup on you, but you have to, you know, be disciplined and sit still. And it smelled weird because it was like castor oil based makeup, very heavy. And they did like multiple layers, and then they did pencil work in between. So you just have to be, I don't know, just calm and, you know, allow them to do their stuff.
How long did it take?
It took like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's a long time.
You know, you sit there, and then once the makeup was done, they glued hair on my chin, on my chin line, and they spray painted my hands and feet with like colored hairspray, and I put the prosthetic head on, and then the prosthetic teeth, which tasted like stinky feet because they were made out of acrylic, and for some reason acrylic just has that smell of like stinky feet. So that was in my mouth every day.
Because
Help me get into character.
I've heard that the makeup back then was just like you were saying, really heavy and just hard, in that when you were doing like acting and all that stuff, that it would kind of get messed up a lot easier than nowadays.
Actually, the makeup stayed on pretty well. It was just the sets were like 110 degrees with all the lighting inside, and the suit was really hot because it was made out of human hair that was individually sewn into like pantyhose material. And so it was a beautifully crafted costume. And Michael Westmore did an amazing job in creating the prosthetic headpiece and the teeth and everything, and that was a whole process to go through to make that happen. He did that in his garage in North Hollywood. That's where he made everything, the slee stacks and Chaka, in his garage.
That's so cool.
And if anybody is a fan of the show Face Off, you guys know Face Off? That's Mike Westmore's show with his daughter that's hosting. So the Westmore family is a dynasty in the makeup business. And we had, I think, 3 of the brothers work with us. And so we get to see Mike at the Star Trek convention every year.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're like legends.
Oh, and my favorite story is you guys know Walt.
Max Factor. I mean, they're as famous as like Max Factor.
I was about to say, everybody's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Walter Koenig. You guys know Walter Koenig from Star Trek? You know? So he wrote Chaka. I mean, he wrote Eating, and he comes to our table every year. He's got his hat on. You guys, if you've seen him, he wears a hat all the time. And he walks by and he goes, no, it is a baseball hat. Yeah, Phil's right. It's a baseball hat. And he comes by and he goes, I should have got residuals from the cross. I should have got residuals from the cross. And he wanders off. We love him. He's a really sweet guy.
That's.
These are serious stories. Please do
No,
not
I'm
laugh.
sorry. So over the years with the props that you do have, were those given to you, or were you guys able to keep them from the show?
These are fan base made. These are all fans made these.
And that's what I think is cool that a fan would make these, because I've heard I heard they're really big about not letting you take anything from.
Well, back in the day, they weren't as strict. I have my backpack, the red Kelty backpack that I had in all 3 seasons, and it's now been signed by most everybody. The Sid Marty Krofft and David Gerald and Walter Koenig, all these guys.
I'm surprised you let them sign it. I mean,
Are you crazy? It's more valuable now.
there you go. Well, I was just saying, you're always looking into the camera last, so I thought.
Yeah, it's true. And the other day, I got the signature I've been wanting for a long time. Are anybody out here basketball fans? Bill Lembeer, the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, what?
Bill was a sleestack.
Yeah.
In college, he was a sleestack. And he rarely mentions it. So a few weeks ago, Kathy and I go to Vegas for the Star Trek convention, and he's now coaching the Waves, which is the #1 women's basketball team in Las Vegas. Well, we go, Aces. So we go and surprise him. It's arranged by the powers that be. And we walk in, and I have the sleestack heads, and all the girls, all the women that are the basketball team have a picture of a sleestack, and they hold it up above their faces. And he is almost 7 feet tall.
7'2". He's 7'2".
Well,
He's 6'11", I'm sorry.
Jeez.
9 feet.
He's 22 feet tall, is what he is. He's huge. Yeah, unbelievable. I've never seen such a thing. And he's known for being like a really grouch in basketball. He's like a bad boy. He was like, rawr. Well, one of the executives of the basketball team says, I have never seen him smile this much. He was so kind, and I got him to sign my backpack.
That's awesome.
If you go to my Facebook page, I've got some pictures of him.
That's my mom's favorite player, which is super funny.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question out there that they're just, yes?
Does anyone want to buy the backpack? Wesley's selling it for $5 million.
Yes, please. The question was, tell us about the filming and the special effects. Phil?
Well, this was the first show that merged technologies of film and video at the time, and so it was kind of a big deal. And it took a lot of effort to do that. And so they did stop motion, the stop motion part of the show. They filmed it, and they had a whole team that did the dinosaurs and stuff off campus in their own little studio. And then, of course, they filmed us in video on the soundstage. And then they also used chroma key technology, which was very new at the time. Now they have green screen, but ours was blue screen. And so they had this gigantic blue screen where we would act on it, be like, oh, the dinosaur's over there, and he's coming at you. And then, you have the pylons in the Lost City are over here. So we had to all kind of be on the same page when we were on the blue screen so that it looked, the continuity was right.
It was, at the time, I know that, well, you look bored. And, what's your opinion? Anyway, so I know it looks hokey now when you look at the scripts hold up because they were some of the best sci-fi writers. They were at the beginning of their careers. But the special effects at the time was the most expensive. The stop frame animation, it took them a full day to do 60 seconds of a dinosaur head moving. Also, what Phil was talking about, melding video and film, had never been done before. And instantaneously. They didn't have to go into post-production to do this. We would watch it on the monitor. We'd see the dinosaurs, which are in film, and us in video, and they would shrink us down on the green screen, and put us in proportion to the dinosaur. And like Kathy, tell them how you like your when you wrote Dopey.
Oh, it was the same principle. The cylinder that I was sitting on was the chroma key color blue. And I just sat on it, and they said, okay, wave at the camera. And I'm sitting and bouncing around, and it came out like I was actually sitting on the dinosaur.
So the way it worked was she was on this blue.
So when Jurassic Park came out, the movie, I remember crying when, what?
That was perfect.
What?
How you took the microphone, that was perfect.
Yes. So anyway, I was watching the movie, and that one scene, this is from the first Jurassic Park, where the brontosauruses are crossing that prairie. It was breathtaking, and I started crying in the movie theater, and I thought, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And then I thought, you know what? There isn't one other person in this audience that they can say had a pet dinosaur, a baby brontosaurus, and it's okay if I'm crying because it's special to me, Yeah, so to be able to say I wrote a baby dinosaur is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
What? What happened?
I don't know. Nothing. I said that was awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was
Story.
cool.
I got to tell you my most fun part. We went to the premiere. Phil and I were at the premiere of Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell, and so we're sitting in Grauman's Chinese, the old man. It's the man's theater, the old Grauman. So it's sitting there. I'm sitting there, but I'm sitting there, got a date, and we're sitting there, looking at the screen. And of course, in the movie, Marshall and Holly are co-workers, not father and daughter, and their love interests, right? So there's a scene where Will Ferrell kisses Anna Friel. So I'm sitting there, imagine, it's quiet. It's packed with celebrities and paparazzi and the cross. And suddenly, Marshall kisses Holly, and I go, oh! It took me by surprise. I don't know what happened, but gutturally, it was like from the bottom of my gut. I couldn't believe it. And I screamed, and people were like,
Dying laughing.
and Phil and I at the party afterwards, they had a party upstairs at Highland and Hollywood Boulevard. They had this party with ice sculptures and projections and food and celebrities, Brooke Shields, and everybody was there. Crazy. And so Phil and I looked around, we sat in the corner because nobody's paying attention to us, and we looked in this room filled with people and money and food, and I said, do you realize that the cost of this party is more expensive than all 3 seasons of Land of the Lost? And it was.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask, so when you were preparing for the show, how much study did you guys have to do on, like, the Jurassic period, on dinosaurs? Or was that anything that was ever really brought up for your characters to prepare for?
So the question is, do we have to do studying and preparing with studying dinosaurs in Jurassic Park for the show?
I don't recall them ever asking me to do that. I mean, I've always liked dinosaurs, so it was easy learning when I would learn something. It was of interest to me.
I was filming Days of Our Lives at the same time, so NBC, they were both NBC shows, so they made arrangements that in the morning for Days of Our Lives, I got to film all of my scenes. So the cast of Days of Our Lives for 3 years hated me, because I did the show for 9 years. And because I do all my scenes in the morning and then run over to the set and we shoot Land of the Lost. But there really wasn't any preparation.
What does that have to do with the question about dinosaur preparation?
Well, it was about me. I dropping me. It's all about me. All about me.
I know it's great that you had 2 shows at the time, Wesley.
I had 2.
But the question was about preparation for dinosaurs.
Let's go back. Let's focus in.
Well,
We can talk about your other favorite subject, preparation age.
that is rather rude, Kathleen. Well, the preparation I need for dinosaurs now is my career, which is a dinosaur. And although I just sold a new show, but that's a whole other subject.
I wrote a book.
You wrote a book.
I am trying to. Well, I got a job, full-time job, working for a law firm, which is fantastic.
Girlfriend.
And I have a new girlfriend, Jill, who's back here,
Stand up, Jill.
and I love her very much. She's awesome, fantastic.
Jill, you do know that the children will be half monkey. Just want to say that. Right?
like there's anything wrong with that, Wesley, okay? And what else? I raised butterflies for a while. I raised monarch butterflies as a hobby, got kind of into that for a while, and that was a great thing. And I'm also trying to get a voiceover career up and running, which has taken a few years. And Jill is an editor and helped me put together my reel. So I have a reel.
Just an editor, tell us.
She's an Emmy award-winning editor, is what she is. I'm really proud of her because she's awesome. But yeah, so I've been trying to get that going.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what have you been up to?
Very interesting. I would sue.
Phil, you mentioned that you were the youngest black belt.
Yes.
Do you still do martial arts or practice?
No, I don't really do martial arts right now. I mean, I could get back into it pretty quickly. But I do, I'm into road cycling. So I ride a road bike that's kind of a racing road bike. And so I do that often for exercise,
Nice.
but not so much martial arts right now.
So, I have a fun question just because of how you guys are. We ask everybody a couple of questions, but there's one question in particular I want to ask you guys. Is we ask every guest, if you were in a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon? I'm really excited to hear this because,
I would choose a BFG
ooh, okay, I like
because that would just get rid of all of them right away.
that. Done. One and done.
I would slay them with my wit, nitwit, and
That's what I was waiting.
yeah.
I thought you were going to say your charm, but yeah.
No, that left a few years ago. Yeah. You know, the older I've gotten, the less charm I have. I don't know about you guys, because we're all kind of in the same age thing. Well, you guys are younger, because I was 10 years older than you guys when you were watching the show. So I'm 68. And so the older I've gotten, I find that I don't have a filter anymore. so my charm is kind of waned.
Okay, well, I would say that if you ever get a chance to read my book, you will see that I am quite the survivor. And so I would say, bring it on.
So would you use her book as a weapon? Is that what you're saying?
Only the hardback edition.
No, the awards.
Kathy? Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Winning book.
She is an award-winning writer.
She is. Actually, her book last year won the #1 indie book publishing biography award, which was very nice.
That's awesome.
The zombies with her trophy.
I thought she was just going to use Wesley as like throw him out as bait, you know, and throw him the other way.
The script.
Yeah, you're like, remember how you always want to be last to be seen? Well, here you go.
You'll have to wait for Rick Mortis to send it before. Rick Mortis, hi. He's a friend of mine, Rick. Yeah. If you knew Rick, no, never mind. I don't know why we're so slap happy today, guys. I don't know what is in Merced that makes us like this. Yeah. Anybody have?
We thought it would be a good idea to actually make a Land of the Lost musical,
Oh,
like a live stage musical. I think that would be pretty
have
fun.
so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially, you guys are so much fun together, like the three of you. Like, I've been dying this whole time just like laughing, and it's so much fun just to see you guys interact with one another. So if you guys did something like that, it would kill. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
we're really.
On downtimes at shows, sometimes we practice.
Yeah. Oh, Chaka, where are you, Chaka? Did your leg ever heal, Chaka? There he is in a tree, Chaka. Thank you. Did that bring a tear to your eye? Because I didn't hit the notes.
Papa, can you hear me?
Plagiarism.
Fly swatter.
But yeah, obviously, guys, we had a great time. You know, we did not. When you film a show, you don't really realize sometimes the effect it has on people, and especially since we had such good writers, and the stories they were telling. I mean, Land of the Lost was about a broken family. Our mom was dead. Remember one episode of Sleestak pretends to be our mom to lure us into the cave, And it was a broken family, and it was, a brother and sister, being a brother and sister, but really fighting. And we were fighting to survive, and we found a friend that helped us in the land of the lost. And of course, that's one of the reasons, the reason that the Will Ferrell movie failed, because it was just a Abbott and Costello, nothing, kind of it's like popcorn. But Land of the Lost was the story of a family surviving in unbelievable circumstances. And I think that's why the show is a success, and why to this day, 45 years later, look at us, look at all of us sitting here in this room in Merced, California, talking about a show that from 45 years ago. How lucky are we that we all got to experience this?
No, it's awesome. I think it's so cool that you just got to be a part of something that's lasted, the test of time. It shows, like you were saying with the writers and how much, you guys have put into it. It shows.
There's some scenes, and there's a scene when we lose our dad in the third season, which I can hardly watch because Kathy is. You forget what a great actress she was. Just as a little girl, but there's some scenes. It's not Saturday morning scenes. In fact, Kathy and I did one scene once, but our mom, it was a different episode, but our mom was gone, and Kathy and I had to cry. We were looking in the mist, and it was mom, and they stopped. They said, the director came out and said, Kathy, Wesley, it's too real. This is Saturday morning. You got to stop. So
It's a kid show.
yeah, exactly.
It's a kid show.
Exactly. So we had to find that balance between, that pathos. But I think that's why the show survives. The effects may look corny now, but some of the scripts, a lot of the scripts, are really good sci-fi. Time matrices, going through doorways, pylons, Enoch. Yeah, Enoch from the future, from the past. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy good sci-fi.
No, it's awesome.
And it never talked down to kids. They never go, oh, look, there's going to be a door that opens and you could go home. It's a time door you must go through. 3 must go, 3 must leave, 3 must enter, wow.
Yeah. Do you have any last questions?
Anybody?
We have like 2 minutes before.
Yes, please.
Not that I'm multifaceted question, but you guys were shooting the last episode of the third season. Were you aware that was going to be the last? And any of the producers or writers or anything, did they know it would be the last? Could there be a long
Right.
episode written?
The question was, in the last episode when we shot it, did we know it was the last episode, and was there any indication?
I remember being on the set the last day, and I remember the last scene that we shot. Now, did I know at that time that we would never do Land of the Lost again? Is that your question? That, I don't really know. I don't know. I just knew that was our last scene, and then we were going to have a big wrap.
No, we didn't know that it was going to be the last season. In fact, I think that they asked us if we wanted to do another season, I think, after that. So I think the plan was maybe to continue it, but we didn't know that at the end of the filming of the third season, which was kind of an odd season anyway. So it's probably good that the show ended after that.
I would have loved it to go on. I'd like to have had a resolution. There is one episode, the second year, or closing of the first year, called The Circle. And that was written, was that DC Fontana or no, Larry Niven?
DC Fontana was elsewhere.
But anyway, where Enoch, the mist, and he goes, 3 must leave, and 3 must enter. I said, Enoch, you mean we can go home? He goes, no, you must go home. Otherwise, the land of the lost, the whole universe would explode. So Marshall, Will, and Holly walked through the misty door, and we went back.
Yeah, that good old Misty.
Yeah, look at me, I'm so blue, oh, Misty, yeah, that's a different Misty. Anyway, but we walked through, and our doppelgangers came into the land of the lost, and it all started again. They found the cave, it was brand new, scared of dinosaurs. So I love that. That's my favorite episode.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys, and we're at our table. We brought the raft, and it's a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.